Okay, let's unpack this. You know that one big thing, the one you've been mentally filing under to be started later.
We all have one.
It could be a huge project at work, or maybe learning a new skill, or even just, that health goal you set. You have the plan, you might have even bought the supplies, and you definitely had the motivation about 3 months ago.
And yet, here we are.
Yeah.
Still at the starting line. It's the ultimate human riddle, isn't it? We operate under this delusion that the problem is a lack of time.
That we're just too busy.
Exactly. Or that we need that one perfect day to start. But the source material we analyze for this deep dive, which is drawn heavily from DARIUS FOROUX's work, it just challenges that completely. It argues the real hurdle is never the clock.
Right. The core insight is that the resistance we feel it's an internal, unseen battle. A battle that forces us to postpone, even when we know the action is critical for our own well-being, for our success. So our mission today is to give you a concrete, tested roadmap for those who are genuinely ready to start instead of just, thinking about starting.
And we really have to begin with a painful truth. The central idea of this work is that every single task you delay, it accrues a form of interest.
But not in money.
No, not in money. It's collected directly from your psychological reserves, your peace, and, probably most importantly, your long-term confidence.
That's a really heavy cost. You're not just losing time, you're actively losing faith in yourself.
Precisely. The material drives this home with a really memorable analogy. It's the story of an old carpenter telling his apprentice, every incomplete brick you leave today will become a crack in the wall of your dreams tomorrow.
Wow.
That delay, that emotional debt, it means you are actively eroding the very structure of your own future while simultaneously stressing about it.
So if this is an internal battle, this debt of peace, we need an accurate diagnosis. Most of us, we look at chronic delay and we just label ourselves or other people as lazy.
Yeah, that's the go-to label.
What does the material tell us about what procrastination actually is?
Well, the book pushes back hard against that laziness label because it's a total distraction. ForouX states it very clearly. Procrastination isn't laziness, it's fear dressed as comfort.
Fear dressed as comfort. That's a powerful way to reframe it.
It is.
We're choosing the immediate, predictable comfort of, scrolling social media or reorganizing a filing cabinet.
Or replying to totally irrelevant emails.
Yes.
Because it feels safe.
But what is it specifically that we're so afraid of when we sit down to start?
It's multi-layered. I mean, sometimes, sure, it's the fear of failure. The project won't be good enough, we'll look foolish. But often, and this is where it gets surprising, it can be the fear of success itself.
How so?
Well, success demands more. More commitment, more responsibility, maybe more change than we think we're ready for. So we sort of preemptively delay to maintain the current safe status quo, no matter how uncomfortable that status quo actually is.
And that fear-based delay, it has a tangible cost beyond just the emotional toll. We're literally stuck in a starting block.
The material makes that calculation very stark. It says, if you had started that critical business plan 10 days ago, you might already have 30% of the initial research done.
Right.
Procrastinators aren't people who move slowly. They are people who are perpetually trying to start. And what happens when you postpone something you know is vital? That task just days on. It consumes your mental energy. It's lurking in the back of your mind, chipping away at your sense of competence.
So every postponed task is actively eroding your self-confidence?
It is. And that makes the next attempt to start even harder. It becomes this vicious cycle built on avoidance.
Okay, so if the enemy is this internal mood, this fear, this lack of energy, how do we fight back? Especially when you wake up and just feel completely flat. The world tells you to wait for inspiration, listen to a motivational podcast.
And that is precisely the pitfall the source warns against. If you wait for motivation, you might be waiting forever. The central, and it's a very counterintuitive trick, in the book is this. Action changes mood faster than mood changes action.
You can't think your way into feeling energetic.
You have to move your way there.
That sounds almost too simple. How do we translate that insight, that movement generates the feeling, into a small, manageable step when the task just feels crushing?
That's the beauty of what he calls the 2-minute rule.
Yeah.
This isn't just about starting. It's about reducing the mental load of starting to basically zero. If you have zero motivation to write that report, you just commit to sitting down and opening the document for 2 minutes. That's it. Don't worry about quality or quantity or finishing, just the act of initiating.
And what's happening psychologically in those 2 minutes?
You're bypassing the limbic system. That's the part of your brain that's all about immediate comfort and resistance. Once you overcome that initial friction of starting, the brain often just shifts gears. Those 2 minutes can turn into 20 or maybe even an hour.
Because momentum has taken over.
Exactly. You've generated a tiny bit of success, which releases a little bit of dopamine, and that chemically changes your mood. It allows the action to continue.
And that momentum is the exact thing that gets destroyed by overthinking.
Absolutely. The source defines overthinking as the art of creating problems that don't exist. We get so bogged down in excessive planning, the perfect color scheme for the website, the ideal niche for the blog.
Oh, we've all seen that person who wants to start a YouTube channel, but they spend 6 months debating microphone quality and what the backdrop should look like instead of just recording the first rough video.
That's the perfect illustration. All that energy spent planning is just mental procrastination. The actionable motto to fight this is really clear. A small, imperfect step today is infinitely better than 1,000 perfectly crafted ideas sitting in a notebook.
So we know how to start now. Take that micro step. But a lot of people stop right there because they don't know what to start. We're facing this choice overload, this paralyzing amount of options. How does the material guide us through that confusion?
Well, the book establishes a really direct causal link. It says, confusion is a result of lack of clarity. Clarity comes from doing.
So you can't think your way out of confusion.
You can't. We try to analyze our confusion away, but you can only gain clarity by actually testing the waters.
Give us an example of that, of acting your way out of confusion.
Okay, take the common scenario of someone who's really dedicated to improving their life and health. They decide to simultaneously start a high-intensity diet, buy a gym membership, take up complex meditation, and commit to an hour of walking every day.
It's way too much. It's overwhelming just hearing it.
It's too confusing, it's too complex, and it leads to burnout and, inaction within a week. The solution is simplicity. Pick one small task, like a non-negotiable 10-minute walk.
Just one thing.
Just one. By completing that one task, you get immediate, tangible feedback on what your body needs, what you actually enjoy, and what you can sustainably maintain. That small success brings clarity, which then informs the next, maybe slightly larger decision.
Okay, so once we have clarity and we're taking those small, consistent actions, how do we maintain the long-term drive? Because let's be honest, putting one brick in a wall every single day, it sounds profoundly boring.
It does. And that's a real psychological hurdle that we have to address. The material really forces us to reframe what success is. It's not about waiting for those big flashy moments.
Right.
It's about valuing the small, utterly reliable consistency. That analogy of the person building a house one brick at a time.
Yeah.
It's powerful because it highlights compounding effort. Small actions done consistently lead to massive results, precisely because they are boring, manageable, and repeatable.
And if we repeat them, we change who we are. That's the real key to identity, isn't it?
It's the ultimate goal. Chapter 8 connects that consistent action directly to identity formation. Identity, being disciplined, being a high performer, being confident, it's not a characteristic you're born with or a mood you wait for.
It's an output.
It's the output of repeated action.
Yeah.
If you commit to writing a little every single day, regardless whether it's good or bad, you fundamentally become a writer. If you read for 15 minutes daily, you become a reader.
So you don't wait to feel confident to act.
No, you act consistently until you become that confident person.
Yeah.
The action creates the identity.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the subtle internal forces that kill momentum after we've already successfully started. The source identifies 3 major traps that undermine even the most disciplined efforts. Let's start with the perfection trap.
Ah, yes. This is the quiet killer of so many great projects. The belief, I will launch this or publish this or deliver this only when everything is perfect.
It's the biggest self-deception.
It is, because it gives you a perfect excuse to delay completion forever. Perfectionism is just fear wearing a very sophisticated mask.
And the source material offers a fantastic counter-experiment to this whole idea.
It does. It describes a professor who split a photography class into 2 groups. The first group was graded purely on the quantity of photos they submitted. The more they took, the better their grade.
Okay.
The second group was graded purely on the quality of a single photo.
Yeah.
And what do you think happened?
The quantity group ended up with better pictures.
By far. The quantity group, who were forced to constantly click, practice, fail, and adjust, ended up producing photos of much higher quality than the group that spent the whole semester meticulously planning one perfect shot.
The lesson is so clear. Focus on progress over perfection. The sheer volume of work increases the skill, which then naturally leads to quality.
Hmm.
But there's a similar, equally insidious trap for people who love the idea of self-improvement, the learning trap.
This is the curse of the gym scholar. The person who reads 10 productivity books, watches every single video on nutrition, researches advanced marketing funnels.
But never actually implements a single thing.
Not one. The core warning from the source is incredibly stark here. Information without implementation is just entertainment.
Why is that trap so dangerous? Because reading and learning, it feels productive. It gives us that little hit of intellectual success without requiring us to expose ourselves to the risk of actually doing something.
Exactly. Learning becomes this high-level form of comfort, a really complex distraction from the actual hard work of creation. You feel busy, you feel smart, but your reality is completely unchanged. The gap between knowing and doing, that's the learning trap.
So what's the countermeasure the source offers for this, for the endless consumer of knowledge?
A mandatory commitment to implementation. Make a rule for yourself. For every hour you spend learning or consuming content about your goal, you have to spend at least 1 hour implementing that knowledge.
I like that.
That immediate application forces the shift from just consumption to creation, and it tests whether the information is actually useful.
And finally, we have to talk about the ultimate killer of focus, the distraction and busy trap. We all say we're busy, but the source insists we need to make a very crucial distinction between being busy and being productive.
Yeah, this is a big one. Focus is presented as the real currency in the modern world. Distractions are expensive, we're warned, because they literally cost us our future output. But the subtler point, the really provocative one, is this illusion of being busy. We confuse perpetual motion with genuine progress.
We all know that person who clears their email inbox 10 times a day or attends every single non-essential meeting, believing they're working hard.
That is the essence of it. ForouX defines this beautifully. He says, busyness is a form of laziness. Lazy thinking and indiscriminate action.
Lazy thinking, wow.
It's lazy because you are defaulting to easy tasks that require minimal critical effort clearing files, minor admin work, while avoiding the core high-value work that actually brings revenue or growth. True productivity is measured by impactful results, not by the sheer volume of activity.
So if your activity doesn't advance your goal, it's just distraction masquerading as work. Okay, so if we manage to dodge those 3 traps and start making consistent progress, what is the final fundamental shift in how we need to view time itself? The lesson from the book seems to be that the biggest illusion we have is our reliance on tomorrow.
It's the great self-deception. We convince ourselves that the work we need to do today will be easier or we'll have more energy for it later. But the reality is that the emotional cost of that delay just accrues. It builds up.
Meaning the work left for tomorrow actually becomes harder.
It becomes harder, heavier, and honestly less likely to ever begin. Most work left for tomorrow simply becomes part of that growing list of regrets.
So we need a final mental shift to really solidify this new perspective. How does the source suggest we reframe failure and, just as crucially, the questions we ask ourselves?
The material emphasizes moving away from trying to control the outcome and toward controlling your response. You can't control losing a client, or being rejected, or a project hitting a snag.
You can't control any of that.
But you can control your response to it. Do you see it as a dead end? Or do you immediately see it as feedback, a chance for new learning, a new direction? That response determines absolutely everything.
And our internal dialogue, that has to change too. It has to push us toward action.
Precisely. We have to stop asking these paralyzing questions that lead straight back to overthinking, like, am I ready? Or is this scalable right now? The source encourages us to ask enabling questions, questions that drive immediate small action.
Right.
Like, what is the very first step? And what is the one thing I could do today to move forward? Every question has to be designed to initiate motion.
So what does this all mean? If we synthesize all these points, that procrastination is rooted in fear, that action comes before motivation, that small, consistent steps build the identity we actually want, and that focus is our highest currency, the ultimate conclusion from this deep dive is incredibly clear. Everything changes the day you decide to begin.
It's really about changing your trajectory from a reactive life, a life defined by what you avoided, to an active, focused commitment defined by what you executed. That focused mindset is not a condition you wait for. It is a commitment you make right now, today.
We've provided you with the clarity, the diagnosis, the tools, the roadmap from perpetual thinking to immediate, purposeful doing. Now, you have to face the central question. Do I really want to continue living my life defined by the things I know I should be doing, but just continuously delay?
And if you choose to take no action today, if you leave that one important brick incomplete, consider this provocative thought for the next year. How many times will you look back and tell yourself the line that haunts every ambitious person? I truly wish I had just started back then. The opportunity cost of delay is always higher than the cost of effort. The tools are here. Now is the time for action.